Hello and welcome to the Gamers Table Independent Edition. It is Friday and we are reviewing
Gibs. It's a fun little game. It's a lot of take that sort of mentality going along.
Life has always been hard for the Gibs. This subterranean race has always had a soft spot for shiny objects. Now that some gems have shown themselves, the Gibs have all flocked after them. Through the flocking and greed, predators might be about, and their obsessions may have caused some to spend endless hours guarding their hoards.
One thing I do like about this game is the variety of the different Gibs you have. So you got your gems deck with all sorts of colored gems. Well, not all sorts, just 4 colors. Green, yellow, red, and blue.
You got some order of play cards, an end of turn card to remind you, just in case you can't remember at the end of turn, do the one thing, add the gems.
And then you got your main deck of cards, which consists of 4 colors of Predator, Sleep, Water, and Hide cards. And then the gray cards are your Gibs. The more powerful Gibs have all 4 colors, which means all the attacks can be used against them, and all the defenses can be used to counter their attacks, all the different colors. So while you're getting a stronger power, it's a lot easier to attack and defend against you. And then you got like an armored guy who only has 2 gems showing, and in order for an opponent to attack you, they have to discard a card. So, and there's just a whole variety. Like you got the Quick Foot, which can steal a victory point from target player at the start of each of your turns.
So there's a lot of cards, and we have included here, if we didn't mention yet, the expansion that adds 4 new types of Gibs, additional action cards, and 6 new white gem conditions, and enough cards to add a 5th player to the game. And these, as stated on the website, were originally supposed to be in the game. He took them out to make the game a little bit cheaper. So it doesn't unbalance the game at all. It just adds more strategic stuff to it. You would deal each person 7 cards from this deck. And they can take a look at it and see if they like it or not. If they have no Gibs at all, they can chuck it and get a new set of 7. And once you've done that, then you put 5 out. And if 3 or more of those are Gibs, flush them and keep doing until there's only 2 Gibs out in the open market. And anything you do at the start of game, that'll get shuffled back into this deck. Because if this deck runs out, game ends. Last white gem, game ends. Those are the 2 game end conditions. And anytime you bring a new Gib out, you'll get to draw 1 point. So even though you might have a really good Gib in front of you, it's almost worth it to cycle them as much as possible just to get more points onto the table, because those points are going to be helpful for you. And the other points are gained by the different colors of gems. 5 points for the person who has the most. If 2 people are tied for the most, they get 3 each. It's actually written on the gems how to score them, which is very nice.
Yeah, that's handy. One thing that was confusing, especially if you were playing with the rules we had.
Yeah.
How the actual Gibs work with the gems. You're always limited to the cards you could play based on your opponent's gem, your opponent's Gib, not your own Gib. So if I was being attacked by Craig's armored Gib, I would have to defend using a blue or a yellow defense card. And therefore, if I had this one, Craig could play any color card against me. Mm-hmm. Or defend with any color card.
It's simple once we've said it now, but there was a lot of head banging, and like I said, the new rulebook does cover it properly. But we didn't mention it. You can only have 1 Gib out in front of you. So if you want a second one, you get rid of him to the discard pile, put your new one down, and then off the draw pile or out of the general supply, take your +1 point and put it in your point pile. The biggest thing I see with this game that is a little annoying is it comes out really into play when you get the 2-player game. It doesn't scale very well because, yes, it's only 2 gems that have to be found, but they get shuffled into the gem stack. And the gem stack doesn't get any smaller for 2 players. So if those 2 white gems happen to be at the bottom of the gem pile, And in a 2-player game, you're adding very few gems out into the open market every turn. It could be a really long game. And while this game is fun, and there's a lot of, take that, oh no I won't, oh yes you will, oh no I won't sort of thing going on, if you have to play it for quite a long time, it can get a little tiresome.
There's not a whole lot of variety in the game. You can either play sleep on your opponent, at which point you could steal a gem.
Water!
Unless they play a water. Or you could play
a predator.
A predator card. To kill the guy's Gib, but he could either hide, or if he didn't want to get rid of the Gib that's on the table, he could just toss a Gib from his hand instead.
Which is, oh good, then I just got the +1 point. Now the reason you want to get rid of the guy's Gib is because there are a finite number of gems out there, and you want to have the most in every color that you possibly can, because that's going to bring you more points at the end of the game. And if he doesn't have a Gib in front of him, you can steal his gems.
And he can't play any cards to defend.
Yes, you don't take them. So, conversely, it's good to try and keep in your hand some defenses. But the way you get gems, if there's a blue gem out there, I can trade a blue card to take the blue gem. I can trade a yellow card to take a yellow gem. And so on and so on. So you're throwing away your attacks and defenses to get the gems, which sort of goes with the theme of these little silly guys getting all crazy about the gems. I gotta have them, I gotta have them, I gotta have them.
They're a whole bunch of golems.
Yes.
The precious gems.
Wrapping up for Gibs. The theme sort of holds pretty well. Because, as I said, the guys are willing to sacrifice their attacks and their defenses to get more gems because they want to have the most gems of all.
They want their precious.
Whether or not that makes any sense at all. And in a multiplayer game when everybody's got a mitt full of attack cards, it probably doesn't make a lot of sense to throw away your defenses. But if you've got 4 red, you've got 4 red, and I've got 5 red, and there's 1 red out there, maybe I'm willing to throw my red sleep away to get that gem and secure my lead in the red gems point. Easy to play. With the new rule book, pretty much, yeah. With the original rules, not so much. You guys don't have to worry about that because you won't ever see these rules. Thank goodness. But I'm giving you definite props, Nathan, for going through and making that rule book so much better and so much clearer and covering everything in the proper order so people can figure out how to play. Fun to play. If it doesn't go on for too long, yeah. I think it's one of those games where, because there are so few things you can do, even playing the strategic version of the game, it's just, sleep, predator, sleep, predator, collect some gems, repeat. I give Gibs a 6.5.
This game is pretty fun, but there's not a big variety. I think this is a game that you want to play with more than 2 people for sure, because then you get the shark mentality. You got the beat on the guy who's in the lead sort of thing to keep things even. But otherwise, there's nothing wrong. It's quite a bit of fun, but sometimes it can drag out a little bit, and you want to keep your fun in shorter intervals, or otherwise it can drag.
Yeah.
I give Gibs a 6.
So that's it for this episode of the Gamers Table Independent Edition. Tune in next week, probably, where we review another game.
Because that's what we do sometimes.